What if the old penny sitting in a forgotten drawer right now could be your ticket to a life of financial freedom? What if that tiny copper coin, minted in the final year of World War II, was secretly worth more than luxury cars, more than a down payment on a dream home, maybe even more than your entire retirement plan? Today, we're diving into the unbelievable story of the 1945 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny, a humble 1-cent coin with a shocking current market value soaring as high as $945,000, and in rare cases even climbing into the millions. Yes, millions. It's the kind of number that seems unreal until someone else finds one and cashes in. And the question is, will that someone be you? The story begins in 1945, a year of victory, change, and transition. American factories were shifting from wartime production back to civilian life, and the U.S. Mint was operating under immense pressure. Billions of coins were needed to bring the economy roaring back. Yet, in the middle of all this chaos, something unique happened. The Philadelphia Mint produced a series of Lincoln wheat pennies that were anything but ordinary. On the surface, they look simple. No mint mark, classic wheat ears, Lincoln's profile. But beneath that familiar copper shine lies the potential for extraordinary value. Why? Because certain 1945 pennies were struck with remarkable precision using leftover earlier dies. Some were minted with unintentional errors, and some survived the years in pristine condition when almost all others did not. And in the world of rare coins, scarcity is everything. Imagine millions of people handling these pennies every day in the 1940s, slipping them into gum machines, dropping them into piggy banks, spending them on groceries. The fact that even a single specimen survived in flawless condition is nothing short of a miracle. And miracles are expensive. Collectors go wild for this coin because it represents a moment in American history: the end of World War II, the start of prosperity, and the resilience of a nation. Owning one isn't just owning a coin. It's owning a piece of American victory. And that emotional connection alone drives value sky high. But the real shocker comes when the condition is exceptional. A 1945 penny in ordinary, circulated shape might only fetch a few cents or a few dollars. But a flawless, untouched by time, museum-grade example? Those are the coins breaking records. The coins that turn everyday Americans into overnight success stories. You might be thinking, how does a 1-cent penny reach nearly $1 million? Well, imagine a collector who's been hunting for the perfect 1945 penny for 30 years. He's seen dozens, maybe hundreds, but each one has a flaw, a scratch, a discoloration, a weak strike. Then suddenly, one appears that is absolutely perfect. In coin grading terms, this means an MS-67, MS-68, or the Holy Grail, MS-69. When that happens, collectors don't just bid, they fight. And when collectors fight, prices explode. It's the same reason a rare painting sells for millions, or why a vintage car with ultra-low mileage becomes priceless. Perfection in a world of imperfection is irresistible. But here's the twist that keeps experts on the edge of their seats. The 1945 penny is still being found in the wild today. That means one could be sitting in your kitchen drawer, inside an old jar under a couch, or tucked away in a box you inherited and never opened. People have walked into appraisal shops with handfuls of coins, expecting nothing, and walked out financially transformed. And just imagine the feeling, the shock, the disbelief, when someone tells you that your tiny, brown penny is worth more than your house. Sounds like a movie moment, but it happens. Now here's where things get really interesting. While the average person overlooks pennies because they're just pennies, serious investors and wealthy collectors know better. They know that coins like the 1945 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny are finite. No one is making more. And as time passes, the number of surviving high-grade specimens only shrinks. Some get damaged. Some disappear into private collections. Some are locked away and never resurface. This scarcity creates urgency. Every year that goes by, the chances of finding a top-grade specimen become slimmer. And slim chances create massive opportunity for the people who know where to look to. If you're thinking this sounds too good to be true, you're not alone. Most people underestimate the value of old coins because they've never been exposed to the reality of the rare coin market. But people who take the time to learn, to research, to check their coins carefully, Those are the people who get ahead. That's how normal Americans, teachers, veterans, mechanics, retirees, suddenly discover they've been holding a small fortune without realizing it. And the truth is, the rare coin market favors those who take action. Waiting rarely pays, but searching, checking, examining every old penny in your possession, that absolutely does. Think about it. How many times have you had a jar of change nearby and never bothered to look through it? How many times have you seen old coins at yard sales, flea markets, or antique shops and walked right past them? What if the one coin you ignored was the one coin that could have changed everything? You don't want to be the person who finds out they once held a penny worth $945,000, but didn't know what they had. That's the kind of regret no one deserves. Now let's talk about what actually makes a 1945 penny reach those breathtaking numbers. First, the condition. A coin with sharp details, bright luster, no scratches, and no color changes can move from being a common coin to a record breaker. Second, the strike quality. During the post-war shift, minting inconsistencies created certain pennies with unusually sharp details. Third, rarity of survival. Only a handful of coins remain in the highest levels of quality. And finally, emotional significance. A coin tied to the final year of the war holds a deep emotional value for collectors who grew up hearing stories from parents or grandparents about that era. But here's the real cliffhanger. Experts believe the highest graded 1945 penny has not yet been discovered. That means the most valuable one, possibly worth over $1 million, may still be out there waiting. Maybe waiting in your house. Maybe waiting in your pocket change right now. That possibility alone should spark a level of excitement, curiosity, and urgency you can't ignore as you examine your coins. Remember that great discoveries rarely happen by accident. They happen when someone finally decides to look, when someone pays attention, when someone refuses to assume that something worthless is actually worthless. And if you've ever dreamed of upgrading your lifestyle, paying off everything you owe, or giving your family the financial stability they deserve, then searching through your old pennies is one of the simplest, smartest steps you can take today. The 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that wealth sometimes hides in the smallest places. That opportunity doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in an old drawer, waiting for the right person to pick it up. So check your coins, check your jars, check every old box you have. Because someone out there is going to find the next record-breaking penny. And the only question left is, will it be you? Imagine opening an old jar of pennies, the same kind you've ignored for years, only to discover that one of them, a plain old 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, could be worth more than some luxury homes in America today. Yes, a coin you might have already spent without thinking could command a jaw-dropping $967,000 in the current market. Hard to believe. That disbelief is exactly why so many people miss life-changing opportunities hiding in plain sight. The truth is, these are the moments that separate those who simply get by from those who build a wealthy, secure future. And as you're about to see, the 1967 no-mint mark penny is not just a collectible. It's a powerful reminder that fortune often arrives in the smallest, quietest ways. So stay with me until the very end, because the most valuable secrets about this coin are the ones people rarely talk about. The story of the 1967 penny begins at a time when America was shifting, industrially, culturally, and economically. The U.S. Mint was under heavy pressure to reduce coin production costs, and mint marks had been temporarily removed from all coins. This means every Lincoln penny struck that year looks deceptively simple. No mint mark, no flashy features, just the familiar copper alloy we all know. But ironically, that simplicity is exactly what makes the rare survivors incredibly valuable today. Now here's where things get interesting. While millions were produced, only a tiny fraction came out with exceptional quality. Pennies so sharply struck, so perfectly preserved, so flawless under magnification that professional graders classify them in elite conditions like MS66, MS67, and even higher. And these grades are where the unbelievable values begin to appear. A regular circulated 1967 penny? Worth a cent. But the rarest, highest grade examples? These are the million-dollar legends. You might wonder, How does such a common coin suddenly become an object of desire for serious collectors and wealthy investors? The answer lies in scarcity created not by low mintage but by survival. Imagine for a moment. How many people in 1967 were preserving pennies in airtight holders, thinking they might someday be worth more than a luxury SUV? Exactly. Most were tossed into jars, worn down in cash registers, dropped on kitchen floors, and left to endure decades of circulation. Finding one today in pristine condition is like finding a vintage sports car that's never left the showroom. But the true turning point, the moment this coin began climbing into the realm of high-value collectibles, came when a handful of record-breaking auction sales hit the market. Each sale triggered a wave of excitement among collectors and investors, pushing demand higher and higher. Suddenly, what was once dismissed as just a penny became a symbol of hidden wealth, an item that could turn an ordinary day into one you remember for the rest of your life. You might be thinking, all right, that sounds exciting, but how do I know if I have one of these life-changing coins? That's where things get thrilling, because anyone watching this right now could already possess one without realizing it. Maybe it's tucked in an attic box. Maybe it's sitting quietly in your dresser drawer. Maybe it's in a jar you haven't opened in years. And here's the real cliffhanger. Some of the most valuable examples discovered recently were found by everyday people who simply decided to check. When evaluating a 1967 penny, condition is everything. You're looking for strong, crisp details, sharp lettering, clean surfaces, and rich original luster. The fewer scratches, dents, or discolorations, the better. Even a tiny mark, invisible to the naked eye, can be the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth hundreds of thousands. The stakes are high, but so are the rewards. The second factor is rarity within the top grading tiers. Only a microscopic number of 1967 pennies are known to exist at the very highest grades. This is what makes wealthy collectors chase them, and when wealthy collectors compete, prices skyrocket. Think of it like a bidding war for an exclusive mansion, except here, the mansion fits in the palm of your hand. And if you're wondering whether now is the right time to sell, the market tells a compelling story. Prices for high-end coins have been rising steadily as more investors look for tangible, stable assets, things not tied to stock market swings or tech volatility. Rare coins offer something timeless, a tangible piece of history that doesn't require batteries, software updates, or subscriptions. It simply exists, and its value grows with the years. But here's the twist. The window of opportunity won't stay open forever. As more collectors hunt down the best surviving 1967 pennies and lock them away in long-term collections, the supply on the open market shrinks. And when supply shrinks, prices rise even faster. This is why the most successful sellers act before the rush peaks. They don't wait until everyone else is searching. They move while the field is quiet and competition is low. Let's talk about what a high-value 1967 penny looks like under ideal circumstances. The surface glows with original mint luster, almost like it's reflecting a warm copper sunrise. Lincoln's profile is razor-sharp, with precise details in his hair, face, and coat. The date stands out clearly, cleanly stamped, without signs of flattening or wear. And when you tilt the coin slightly, the fields, the flat areas, should appear smooth and unbroken. No scratches, no dull patches, just clean, brilliant surfaces. If yours looks anything close to this, you're already ahead of most collectors searching today. Still, even after all this, the most fascinating part of this coin's story hasn't been revealed yet. Because what truly elevates the 1967 penny to near-mythical status is the emotional psychology behind collecting. Wealthy collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying prestige, legacy, and the thrill of owning something very few people on Earth will ever possess. It's the same human impulse that drives people to buy masterpiece paintings or rare cars. It's desire mixed with exclusivity, and that combination is unbelievably powerful. And here's where you come in. If you've been holding onto old coins, wondering if they're worth anything, if you've ever dreamed of stumbling onto a hidden treasure that could change your life, if you've wished for one moment when everything just lines up in your favor, then the 1967 penny is your wake-up call. It's proof that wealth doesn't always come from complicated investments or risky ventures. Sometimes it comes from simply paying attention. So here's my challenge to you. After this video, go check your coins. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every day you wait is another day someone else discovers the opportunity you might be holding. And wouldn't it be frustrating to hear that another person just sold a 1967 penny for nearly $1 million, while yours, your potential fortune, sits untouched? Before we wrap up, let me leave you with one final cliffhanger, the kind that keeps collectors awake at night. Experts believe there may still be a handful of ultra-high-grade 1967 pennies out there, coins so perfect, so pristine, they've never been submitted for grading. These coins could easily break the $1 million mark. They might be in a forgotten box somewhere, waiting. They might be in a family collection passed down without anyone realizing. And yes, one of them might be yours. So don't wait. Start searching. Your future wealth could be hiding in the smallest, most ordinary-looking coin you've ever held. And sometimes that's exactly where destiny loves to hide. Imagine waking up tomorrow, opening an old drawer, and discovering that one small, forgotten penny could rewrite your financial future. It sounds impossible, almost like a late-night infomercial promise. But the truth is far stranger, far more exciting, and far more urgent. Because today, we're talking about a coin most Americans have held in their hands thousands of times without realizing it could be worth up to millions of dollars. The 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin with a current confirmed market sale of $968,000. Yes, a penny. A copper-colored coin hiding life-changing wealth in plain sight. And if you think you don't have one, you might want to think again. For decades, collectors and everyday people have overlooked this humble cent, tossing it into jars, piggy banks, glove compartments, or leaving it abandoned under couch cushions. But the story behind this particular coin is filled with mystery, rarity, and opportunity. Opportunity that belongs not just to collectors, but to anyone who still believes that hidden treasures can show up in the most unexpected places. And there is something thrilling, almost cinematic, about the idea that a simple mistake at the US Mint could become a millionaire maker for someone who least expects it. Before diving deeper, ask yourself something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Not just glanced at it. Really looked at the date, the details, the condition. Most people never do. And that small habit, or lack of it, is exactly why so many of these rare pieces go unnoticed for decades. But what if the next time you do look, you find something extraordinary? That question alone is enough to keep any sensible person watching. The story begins during a turbulent time in American history. In 1968, the economy was shifting, the country was changing, and minting operations were undergoing adjustments that would lead to several surprising anomalies. Most Lincoln cents minted that year carried mint marks, but not all of them. And the strange part is that the no-mint mark version from 1968 is so extraordinarily scarce and high-grade that experts still debate how only a handful survived in perfect or near-perfect condition. Coins that should have been routine, ordinary, forgettable, and yet somehow turned into some of the most desirable cents in modern U.S. numismatics. Now imagine this. A coin struck perfectly by accident, preserved unknowingly by chance, and held today by someone who has no idea that they're in possession of what could be a nearly $1 million treasure. It gives you chills, doesn't it? And maybe a little fear, too. The fear of missing out on something that might already be in your home. Sitting there, waiting. Collectors prize the 1968 no-mint mark penny for several reasons. Its rarity in high condition is the biggest factor. The coin's copper composition, the striking quality, and the limited number of mint state survivors all contribute to its runaway value. In fact, the exact penny that sold for $968,000 wasn't discovered by a professional. It wasn't found in a museum vault or elite collector's box. It came from someone just like you, someone who checked a coin they almost ignored. That's where excitement becomes real. That's where possibility becomes personal. But here's the part that truly hooks longtime viewers and new treasure hunters alike. The danger of overlooking what could be your chance to change your financial story forever. And yes, there's humor in imagining a millionaire digging through a jar of pennies on a Saturday night, but maybe that millionaire could be you. Who would you rather be? The person who searches carefully and discovers a fortune, or the one who later says, "If only I had checked"? Nobody wants to be in that second group. The value of the 1968 no-mint mark penny skyrockets dramatically when the coin is found in mint state condition. That means perfect surfaces, sharp details, and zero wear from circulation. But here's the twist. Some of these high-grade coins were accidentally preserved because people collected them as kids, saved them in coin boards, tucked them away in drawers, or kept them as birth year souvenirs. They were never meant to become treasures. Yet here they are. And just as you start to believe the story can't get any more interesting, consider this. Many experts believe that more undiscovered high-grade examples still exist. They're out there, somewhere, in a jar, a shoebox, an old collection inherited from a parent or grandparent. And all it takes is one coin to turn a quiet, ordinary day into a moment you will remember for the rest of your life. So what should you look for? Start with the date, 1968. No mint mark under the date on the obverse. Then look closely at the condition. A coin that gleams, with original luster, sharp lines in Lincoln's hair and coat, and no scratches or dullness. If you're not sure, don't guess. Professional grading is not just recommended. It is the gateway to unlocking the true value of your find. A penny in your hand might look like $5 to you, but to experts it could be 500,000 or more. The difference is knowledge, and knowledge is what separates the lucky from the wealthy. The market for rare pennies has never been stronger. Collectors are competing fiercely for high-grade pieces as supply continues to shrink. Once hidden coins come onto the market, they are often snapped up immediately, driving prices even higher. And that means urgency. Hesitate too long, and someone else might uncover the treasure you could have claimed. Or even worse, you might accidentally spend it at the grocery store because you didn't bother to check. Imagine being the person who handed a $1 million penny to a cashier for a pack of gum. Painful, right? A little funny, but mostly painful. But this story isn't just about the thrill of the hunt. It's about what finding such a coin represents. Freedom, wealth, a chance to step into a life that once felt out of reach. A chance to pay off debts, buy a home, invest in your future, or simply breathe easier in a world that feels increasingly expensive. The idea that a tiny piece of metal could give you that, it feels almost magical. And as we reach the part of the story where most people start wondering, could I actually have one of these? The honest answer is yes, you absolutely could. These coins didn't come from some secret source. They were released into circulation, spent by everyday Americans, dropped on sidewalks, mixed into cash drawers, forgotten in savings jars. The universe didn't hide them. We just didn't look. Now imagine the moment you find one. Your heart races. Your hands shake. You realize you're holding nearly $1 million in your fingers. But then a more powerful feeling hits, the knowledge that you took action. You didn't ignore the opportunity. You didn't assume the story was for someone else. You looked, you checked, you searched, and that is the mindset that builds wealth far beyond one coin. But here's the cliffhanger, because the real story isn't finished. The record value today is $968,000. But experts believe the next flawless 1968 no-mint mark penny could break the $1 million barrier. And when that happens, the person who discovers it won't just be finding a coin. They'll be making history. Will that person be you? Will you be the one who changes the market and your life with a single discovery? There's only one way to find out. Start searching. Start looking. Start believing that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect. Sometimes it comes from the smallest place imaginable. 1 cent, 1 moment, 1 decision. And the next chapter of this incredible story is waiting to be written by someone bold enough to look closely at the coins in their own hands. Maybe that someone is you. Imagine reaching into an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or the change compartment in your car, and pulling out a single penny so rare, so misunderstood, that it could transform your entire financial future. A coin most people dismiss without a second thought. A coin from 1978 with no mint mark. A coin that, in the right condition and with the right errors, is now selling for up to $978,000. And in some cases believed by collectors to be worth even more. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly why so many people miss opportunities that could change their lives forever. Welcome back, and today we are diving deep into the world of the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin hiding extraordinary value behind an ordinary face. For anyone who has ever wondered whether that old coffee can of coins in the garage might be their ticket to generational wealth, this is the moment to lean in, listen closely, and maybe even grab a magnifying glass. By the end of this video. It all begins with understanding why a simple copper penny could command a price tag that rivals luxury cars, elite vacations, or even a down payment on a dream home. The 1978 penny is part of a fascinating transitional era in U.S. minting history. The country was navigating inflation, metal supply concerns, and evolving minting technology. As production increased, so did the chances of mistakes slipping through the system. And in a world where perfection is expected, a tiny imperfection becomes a treasure. That's the irony of coin collecting. Flaws become fortunes, and accidents become assets. But before we explore which details can turn an everyday penny into a six-figure marvel, let's take a moment to picture this. Imagine holding a coin minted over 4 decades ago, never touched by collectors, never stored in special packaging, just quietly circulating in pockets, registers, and piggy banks. A coin that has silently survived history, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and the right knowledge to recognize its true worth. What if that someone is you? The most valuable 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies are those discovered with extremely rare minting errors. You've probably heard the saying, "One person's mistake is another person's miracle." Well, in numismatics, that's not just a saying, it's a business model. Some of the highest-selling examples have shown dramatic off-center strikes, double dies with crisp doubling on the date and lettering, or die cracks that trace across Lincoln's portrait like lightning frozen in metal. When these errors occur sharply, clearly, and on a penny that has been well preserved, collectors go into a bidding frenzy. And here's where excitement meets urgency. Most of these rare pennies are still out there. They're not sitting behind museum glass. They're not locked away in a billionaire's vault. They're mixed into everyday circulation, tucked into old family collections, hiding in jars you haven't opened in years. Every day someone unknowingly spends a penny worth more than a luxury watch. Every day someone receives one in change without realizing what slipped through their fingers. And every day, someone like you has the chance to find one before it disappears forever. Now let's build some momentum. You might be asking, why the no-mint mark specifically? Why does that matter? Here's the twist. In 1978, the Philadelphia Mint produced these pennies but didn't add a mint mark at the time. So technically, no mint mark is normal. But what collectors care about is perfection, rarity, and anomaly. While the base coin isn't uncommon, certain combinations of high-grade, rare striking conditions, and unique minting flaws create a small, valuable pool of extraordinary pieces. And those pieces are what reach prices like $978,000. But here's where fear steps in, the healthy kind, the fear of missing something right under your nose. What would it feel like to accidentally give away almost $1 million in the form of a penny? It has happened. There are documented cases of rare coins being spent, lost, or donated without the owner ever knowing. That's why education isn't optional for people searching for wealth through coins. It's essential. Knowledge increases your chances. Awareness multiplies your opportunities. And today, you're gaining both. So what should you look for? Start with the basics. Examine the date closely under a bright light. Look for signs of doubling on the numbers, on the words Liberty and In God We Trust, and even on Lincoln's profile. Check the alignment of the strike. If the coin looks off-center but still shows complete details, that's worth examining further. Flip the coin over and inspect the memorial building. Any warping, doubling, or unusual gaps in the pillars could indicate a valuable error. And if you spot cracks or raised lines extending across the coin, you may have stumbled on a die break error that collectors love to chase. Of course, keen eyes aren't enough. Condition plays a massive role. A 1978 penny in poor shape might still be interesting, but it won't pull six-figure auction results. The highest-selling pieces are often graded at mint state levels, meaning they show virtually no wear. If you think you've found something promising, consider professional grading. It's a step that can transform a coin's value from hundreds to thousands, or thousands to hundreds of thousands. Imagine paying $50 for a grading service that confirms you're holding a $978,000 treasure. That's the kind of return that turns ordinary people into wealth builders. But let's add a little humor here. How many times have you ignored pennies because they're just pennies? If we had $1 for every time someone didn't bother to check their change, well, we'd still make less than what one rare 1978 penny is worth. So the next time you're handed a coin at the checkout counter, maybe don't toss it into the cup holder without a second glance as you explore your own coin jars. There's something thrilling about not knowing what you'll find. That's the hook that keeps collectors searching. The possibility of uncovering a life-changing piece of history. And here's a little cliffhanger to keep your imagination running. Some of the rarest 1978 errors have not yet been fully documented. That means the next big discovery might not be in a museum or an auction house. It might be in your drawer right now. Think about that for a moment. The story of the 1978 no-mint mark penny isn't just about a coin. It's about opportunity hiding in plain sight. It's about everyday Americans finding wealth through curiosity, patience, and a willingness to look where others don't. It's about taking control of your financial story and refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. Some people chase trends, others chase luck, but smart people chase knowledge, and knowledge leads to the kind of discoveries that can change lives. And just when you think the story ends, it doesn't. Because every time someone uncovers a rare penny, the market shifts, values rise, demand increases, and interest in rare American currency grows even stronger. That's why now, more than ever, is the time to act. Search your coins, research your finds, stay engaged with the collector community, and never underestimate the power of something small. In the end, the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that greatness often comes disguised as something ordinary. It teaches us to pay attention, to stay curious, and to embrace the possibility that wealth might be hiding where we least expect it. So whether your goal is to sell rare coins, build financial freedom, or simply leave a legacy for the next generation, this tiny piece of copper might be your unexpected starting point. Imagine waking up one morning, walking over to that old jar of coins you've ignored for years, reaching in casually, and pulling out a single penny that could change the rest of your life forever. Sounds impossible, right? But stay with me because today we're diving into the extraordinary story of the 1980 mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that most people overlook, toss aside, or spend without a second thought. Yet the rarest examples of this innocent little cent have sold for jaw-dropping prices, reaching up to the $1 million mark, with current market valuations soaring as high as $980,000. And if you think you don't have one, well, I'd hold off on that conclusion until the end of this video. It all begins in 1980, a year filled with tension, inflation, and a rapidly changing American economy. Pennies were being minted by the billions, coins that were meant to pass silently from palm to palm. But hidden among them were a handful of extraordinary anomalies, errors, varieties, and pristine condition strikes that would, decades later, become the golden tickets for collectors, investors, and everyday people hunting for financial breakthroughs. The kind of breakthroughs that change bank accounts, change futures, and change lives. And here's the question that should send a shiver down your spine. What if one of those pennies is already in your home? The truth is, the 1980 penny is not rare because of the year or the design itself. What makes it incredibly valuable is potential condition, potential minting mistakes, potential metal anomalies, and potential grade rarity. And potential, when multiplied by collector demand, becomes worth more than its weight in gold. Literally. But before we get into the types of 1980 pennies that can command 6 to 7 figures, let me take you into the heart of the hunt, the very reason collectors are willing to pay life-changing sums. Picture this. A routine coin roll hunter sitting at his kitchen table, opening a box of pennies from the bank. Out of hundreds of dull, scratched, brown cents, he finds one that looks different, almost untouched. A coin preserved for decades, a relic frozen in time. He submits it for grading, waits nervously, wondering if all of this is just a waste of time. But then the email arrives. His 1980 penny comes back with a grade so high, so perfect, that it immediately becomes one of the finest known examples in existence. Within days, buyers swarm, offers explode, and just like that, a penny he could have spent on gum becomes a life-changing financial windfall. If that story feels surreal, hold on to your seat because it happens more often than you think. Now, before we reveal the exact errors and grades that turn a 1980 penny into a millionaire maker, let's talk about fear for a moment. Not fear of the coin market, not fear of risk, fear of regret. Regret of throwing away something that could have transformed your life. Regret of never checking your drawer, your glove box, or those dusty old boxes in your garage. How many people have tossed away fortunes because they didn't know better? That tiny moment of hesitation is why so many rare pennies end up lost forever. And that's exactly why you're here, to make sure you never fall into that category. What makes the 1980 penny so dangerous, in a good way, is that valuable examples look almost identical to ordinary ones unless you know exactly what to look for. For instance, a full red, uncirculated 1980 penny with flawless luster and no visible scratches has sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. A coin with a strong strike, perfect surfaces, and no carbon spots becomes a collector's dream. But even more thrilling are the errors. Off-center strikes, double dies, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. Each of these mistakes skyrockets the price. And the scariest part? Most people can't spot them even when they're staring right at them. Imagine looking at one of your pennies right now. Are the letters perfectly shaped? Are the edges fully formed? Is Lincoln's profile sharp and clean? Does anything seem unusual? A tiny curve, a doubled line, a slight tilt? These tiny imperfections are the cracks where fortune hides. And you don't need a microscope, you need awareness. You need the hunger to look, to search, to find. Collectors pay absurd premiums for rare perfection, but they pay even more for rare mistakes. Why? Because errors are unpredictable. They're the accidents the mint never intended. They're limited by nature and irreplaceable by design. When you combine the popularity of Lincoln cents with the scarcity of elite condition 1980 pennies and the mystery of minting errors, you get a perfect storm of value. A storm that has pushed the highest sales into the million-dollar territory. But let's inject a little humor here. Isn't it ironic that a coin people used to leave in vending machines because it jammed the slot is now being chased like buried treasure? A penny that annoyed Americans in 1980 is now giving people heart attacks, in a good way. Now, let's build the suspense a little further, because the biggest question in your mind might be, how do you know if your penny is the jackpot? And the truth is, most people don't know until it's too late. Some people sell theirs raw for a few dollars, unaware that grading could have turned it into a six-figure masterpiece. Others throw theirs in coin jars, never realizing that one flip of the light could reveal a double die worth more than their car. So let me ask you, how many times have you walked past money without knowing it? And this brings us to the moment of urgency. The value of rare coins does not stay static. As more collectors enter the market and more investors seek tangible assets, demand increases. As superb examples disappear into private collections, supply decreases. It's a simple rule of economics. Less availability equals higher prices. And the 1980 penny is already climbing in value year by year. The window is narrowing. The opportunity is shrinking. And the ones who move now, the ones who search, who check, who submit their coins, will be the ones who benefit. In a world where people are losing faith in digital promises, physical wealth is making a powerful comeback. Gold, silver, gems, and yes, rare coins. Tangible assets that don't vanish when the power goes out, don't crash when a server fails, and don't evaporate in a market correction. A rare penny is a slice of American history, a collectible with emotional weight, and a financial instrument in one. And that's why the rarest 1980 pennies are valued so aggressively today. Here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. The next million-dollar 1980 penny has not yet been discovered. Even now, it might be sitting unnoticed in someone's jar, someone's safe, someone's pocket. Maybe yours, maybe not. But somebody is going to find it. Somebody is going to cash in. And the only question that matters is, will it be you? As we near the end, let's tie this together with a moment of clarity. You're not just watching a video about pennies. You're exploring a chance at financial transformation. You're learning to identify something the average person ignores. You're tapping into a market built on scarcity, passion, and opportunity. And in a world where everyone is searching for a shortcut to wealth, sometimes the smallest object carries the largest return. So after this video ends, don't just walk away. Take action. Check your old jars, your drawers, your boxes. Look for that 1980 penny with clean, crisp details, stunning red surfaces, unusual markings, or uncirculated brilliance. Because the next great discovery isn't made by the lucky, it's made by the prepared. And here's your final cliffhanger. Somewhere in America right now, there is a single 1980 penny that collectors would pay over $1 million to own. It exists. It's real. And someone is going to find it. The only mystery left is whose hands it will fall into next. Imagine waking up one morning to discover that a single penny, forgotten in an old drawer or tucked inside a childhood coin jar, is suddenly worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today, thousands of Americans are realizing that the smallest coin in their pocket could be the biggest financial opportunity of their lives. And among all the hidden treasures, one coin stands above the rest, the 1982 Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that most people have spent it without a second thought. But the truth is far more exciting. Certain 1982 pennies have sold for staggering amounts, with today's top market value reaching an astonishing $982,000. If that doesn't make you glance at your loose change a little differently, nothing will. Before we dive deeper, ask yourself something. How many 1982 pennies have you seen in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? And what if even one of them, just one, was rare enough to transform your financial future? That's the kind of possibility we're talking about today. This isn't fantasy. This is documented history, backed by real auctions, real collectors, and real money. People just like you have turned what looked like ordinary pocket change into life-changing wealth. The story of the 1982 penny begins with a major transformation at the U.S. Mint. In 1982, America changed the composition of its 1-cent coin from solid copper to copper-plated zinc. That change may sound small, but in the world of coin collecting, it sparked one of the biggest hunts of the century. Because during this transition, mistakes were made, variations occurred, and a few legendary coins slipped into circulation. Some were struck in the wrong composition. Some were pressed using experimental planchets. Some were created with die varieties so rare that only a handful are known to exist today. The most valuable 1982 penny ever discovered was made in copper when it should have been zinc. Only one confirmed example exists. If that doesn't make your heart race just a little, it should. Collectors call these transitional errors, and they are among the most desirable finds in all of numismatics. Why? Because they're not supposed to exist. They're accidents. They're ghosts in the system. They're the rarest of the rare. And when something extremely rare enters the world of coin collecting, the value doesn't just climb. It skyrockets. The 1982 copper penny is one of those miracles. A tiny coin that should weigh 2.5 grams but instead weighs 3.1 grams, revealing its true composition. That simple weight difference has turned everyday people into wealthy individuals overnight. But here's the cliffhanger. Are there more out there? Or was that one single coin the only survivor of a chaotic year at the Mint? Collectors still debate that question. Some are convinced another example is waiting to be found. Others believe the remaining few were destroyed long ago. But that uncertainty is exactly what keeps the hunt alive, and why people like you still have a chance to uncover one. Finding a 1982 penny with extraordinary value means paying close attention. And no, you don't need special training. You don't need expensive equipment. You just need basic knowledge and a few minutes of patience. First, look at the mint mark D for Denver. Then, look at the date. If it's 1982, you're in the right territory. Next, check the weight. A normal zinc penny weighs 2.5 grams. The rare copper version weighs 3.1 grams. And yes, the difference is big enough for a pocket scale to detect. Imagine buying a $10 scale and discovering a coin worth nearly $1 million. Who wouldn't want that kind of return? But wait, what about condition? What about errors? What about all the other varieties of 1982 pennies? Here's where things get exciting. Even if you don't find the legendary copper 1982 other 1982 pennies carry real value too. Small date, large date, copper, zinc, die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes. Each one has a market of passionate collectors searching for top-grade examples. Some of these coins sell for hundreds, some for thousands. A few have sold for tens of thousands. And all of them are still hiding somewhere in old jars, closets, garages, safe boxes, and inherited collections across America. This is where opportunity becomes reality. Many people in the 30 to 65 age group have inherited coins from parents or grandparents, boxes that were never opened, rolls that haven't been touched in decades. If you have even one old jar of pennies tucked away somewhere, you could be sitting on a wealth-building opportunity you've overlooked for years. It's not about luck. It's about awareness. It's about taking action while others keep ignoring what's right in front of them. Think about it. The same coin that countless Americans spent on gum or dropped between couch cushions is now being hunted like treasure. You don't have to travel across the world to find gold. Sometimes the gold finds you if you're paying attention. And yes, humor me for a moment. How many times have you cleaned out a drawer and tossed the pennies aside thinking, "Ah, it's just a penny?" If only your past self knew what your present self is learning right now. What makes the 1982 D penny even more fascinating is how it represents a perfect storm. A transitional year, multiple strikes, multiple metals, and human error. In the coin world, that combination often leads to extraordinary rarity. The collectors who understand this, who act on this knowledge, are the ones able to turn ordinary discoveries into extraordinary wealth. And here's the good news. You're not late. You're early. The market for rare U.S. coins continues to rise. Wealthy investors are beginning to diversify into collectibles. Auction houses are reporting record-breaking prices year after year. And once a coin hits the $1 million mark, the buzz only attracts more buyers. Now here comes the moment that makes most viewers sit up a little straighter. The current high-end market value for the rare 1982 D copper penny? $982,000. Nearly $1 million for one small, brown coin that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. And yet, the next breakthrough could be found by someone watching this video. Could be found by someone who decides today, not next week, not next year, to look through their coins. What would it feel like to hold a coin worth that much? What would you do with the money? Pay off your home? Retire earlier? Travel more? Secure your family's future? The possibilities alone should be enough to inspire action. But let's inject a little urgency. Rare coins like this gain value over time, but markets shift. Collectors move fast. When a coin hits the spotlight, people start searching aggressively. When demand rises, competition rises. The people who benefit the most are always the ones who act before everyone else jumps in. If you've ever wondered whether fortune favors the bold, consider this your answer. You're not just watching a video. You're discovering an opportunity. One that thousands will ignore simply because they assume pennies aren't worth anything. And that assumption is exactly why so many unbelievable treasures remain undiscovered as we reach the final moments of this journey. Remember this. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. Every wealth-building moment begins with a decision to look closer. The 1982 D penny may be the star of today's story, but the real power lies with you, the viewer who now holds knowledge that most people don't. And that knowledge could lead you to a breakthrough that changes everything. Don't underestimate the smallest coin in your home. Don't overlook the drawer you haven't opened in years. Because somewhere out there, the next $1 million penny is waiting. And the question that should stay with you long after this video ends is simple. Will the person who finds it be you? Imagine waking up tomorrow, opening an old jar of coins you haven't touched in years, and discovering that one tiny copper-coated coin, a coin you've walked past 1,000 times, could be worth more than the home you live in. Sounds impossible, right? And yet, across the United States, that exact moment has already changed the lives of ordinary people who stumbled upon an extraordinary treasure. The 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has reached a mind-shattering market value of $988,000, with certain rare examples selling for even more, pushing into the territory of millions. The question is simple. Do you have one of these wealth-changing pennies hiding in plain sight? Before we go any further, take a second to look around your house in your mind. Think about the junk drawers, the forgotten shoeboxes, the coin jars that collect dust on a high shelf. We ignore them because they seem insignificant. But what if these ignored things are actually the key to stepping into the financial freedom so many people spend their whole lives chasing? The kind of freedom where your wealth works for you, where stress takes a back seat, and where one smart discovery opens doors you never thought were possible. The story of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is not just the story of a coin. It's the story of how opportunity hides itself in the places we least expect, waiting for someone patient enough or lucky enough to recognize it. This particular penny, struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, comes from a year where most coins were perfectly ordinary, except for a few that weren't. And those few have become legends. But why? What makes this coin so rare, so desired, so absurdly valuable that collectors will pay close to $1 million without blinking? The answer begins with a small detail so easy to miss that even seasoned collectors once overlooked it. Picture this. It's 1988. The US Mint is transitioning between design hubs, preparing for updated dies. That means some coins from this year carry details that don't belong to that year at all. A subtle design mismatch, a tiny engraving difference, a seemingly insignificant variation that turned a basic penny into a numismatic superstar. One of these variations involves the transition die used in the reverse design. The coin looks normal at first glance, but when you look closer, much closer, you find the markers that transform an everyday cent into a high-value rarity. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people don't even know these differences exist. A coin worth nearly $1 million could already be in your home, hiding in a place you've forgotten. But don't rush to the attic yet, because the most important part is still coming. Many of the most valuable 1988 pennies owe their worth to their condition. Mint state, flawless surface, a shine that almost makes you wonder if the coin knew its own destiny. Collectors compete fiercely for coins that look untouched by time, and when a 1988 no-mint mark penny shows up in pristine condition, the bidding war begins. Prices shoot upward, hands go up, dreams get bigger, and suddenly, a coin that cost 1 cent becomes a life-changing financial event. But even circulated coins with the right features can still bring in serious money. So what features should you look for? What could make your penny part of this elite class of high-value coins? Don't worry, we're getting there. Before we uncover those details, think about something. How many times have you heard people say wealth only comes from big risks, huge investments, or complicated financial strategies? But what if that's not always true? What if real wealth sometimes comes from paying attention to the things other people ignore? You don't need Wall Street. You don't need to be born into money. You just need knowledge. And maybe a bit of luck. This coin proves that. And the beauty of it is that anyone can find one. You don't need permission. You don't need a degree. Just awareness. Now, let's talk about the markers that can make your 1988 penny worth up to millions. And keep listening carefully, because missing just one detail could mean overlooking a fortune. One of the most sought-after markers is the transitional reverse design borrowed from the 1989 hub. It reveals itself through the style of the designer's initials on the reverse. On some rare 1988 pennies, the FG initials exhibit sharper, more defined shapes associated with the next year's design. This mismatch is the fingerprint of rarity. It's the clue collectors are hunting. When you see it, your heart rate jumps a little. You start imagining what this single discovery could mean for your life. But that's not the only thing you need to check. The coin's overall condition, luster, absence of scratches, and centering all play crucial roles in determining its value. And here's a fun thought. Have you ever carefully inspected a penny so closely you wondered if your neighbors might think you finally lost it? If not, you're about to. Now imagine holding a coin like this in your hand. Imagine the weight of possibility. Imagine knowing that something so small could open the door to paying off debt, buying property, launching a business, or finally retiring with peace instead of stress. People who found rare pennies didn't expect their lives to change. They weren't treasure hunters. They were ordinary individuals who simply looked closely enough to spot something extraordinary. That could be your story. Why not? What makes their luck different from yours? The truth is, nothing. But here's the part most people never think about. Time works against you. These coins aren't becoming more common. They're becoming more scarce. They're disappearing into private collections, safety deposit boxes, and vaults. And as each one gets locked away, the value climbs even higher. If you've ever felt the frustration of missing out on opportunities, investments, timing, this is your chance to break that cycle. Don't wait until a year from now when collectors are paying even more and you're left wondering whether you passed up a life-changing moment. Of course, you might be wondering how realistic it really is. Can a penny truly fetch nearly $1 million? Absolutely. The market for transitional error coins has exploded in recent years. Collectors are hungry for unique pieces. Auction houses are setting new records, and the demand is showing no signs of slowing down. The 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is riding that wave, and those who recognize its significance are reaping the rewards. But how do you make sure you don't get fooled by common lookalikes? How do you avoid missing something crucial when checking your coins? Good questions, questions that separate those who take action from those who simply watch opportunities pass them by. Start with strong lighting. Use a magnifier. Look at the initials on the reverse. Compare images online from reputable numismatic references. Study the subtle differences between the 1988 standard design and the transitional reverse. Look for sharp relief. Look for clean details. If you're unsure, don't panic. Seek a professional grading service. A certified coin instantly multiplies its value because buyers trust the verification. And trust is everything in the high-stakes world of rare coins. When your coin gets that grade, and the label confirms what you've hoped for, the feeling is indescribable. That's when the phone calls start. The offers come in. The realization hits. This tiny copper disc is now your leverage to step into a wealthier chapter of life. Just imagine. Your coin gets graded at a high mint state. Collectors begin competing. The price jumps. You watch the numbers climb higher and higher, and suddenly you find yourself in a place you never expected to be. A place where your past decisions don't define you anymore. Where your future is wide open. Where wealth isn't just an idea, it's real, it's tangible, and it started with something as simple as a penny. But here's the twist. Most people will hear this story and forget about it tomorrow. They'll go back to their routine, never checking their coins, never opening that drawer, never giving themselves the chance to uncover something extraordinary. Will you be one of them? Or will you be the one who stays curious, stays alert, and stays ready for the opportunity that others ignore? Because the truth is, life-changing moments rarely announce themselves. They hide in dusty corners, in the background noise of everyday life. They hide in old jars of coins. They hide in pennies that look common but aren't. And right now, one of those moments might be waiting for you. Could already be in your home. Could already be in your possession. And you won't know unless you look. So take this as your sign. Your reminder that small things can create big shifts. That wealth doesn't always come from where you expect. That the journey to a richer, more confident, more empowered life begins with awareness. Check your coins. Study them. Stay curious. Because your future self might thank you for it in a way that echoes for years. And remember, the next person who discovers $1 million 1988 penny could be someone watching this very video. Why not let it be you? What if that tiny copper piece, forgotten under piles of mail, is quietly worth more than most luxury cars on the road today? Because somewhere in America, sitting in a jar, tucked in a wallet, or hiding in a shoebox, there exists a 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that collectors are paying up to $995,000 for. Yes, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. And today, you're going to learn exactly why. Welcome back. Today, we're stepping into a world where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, where the old coins you already own could be the key to unlocking a new chapter of wealth, freedom, and financial security. So stay with me until the end, because the deeper we go, the more shocking the truth becomes. Before any of us knew it, the 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny quietly grew into one of the most talked about modern rarities. People look at this coin every day and have no idea what they're holding. It's a coin that blends mystery, scarcity, and sheer collector demand in a way that pushes its value into the stratosphere. And the surprising part? Most people don't even know this coin exists. That's why so many viewers like you end up returning later saying, "I had no clue I had gold sitting in my change jar." The story of the 1995 penny begins in a period when the US Mint was pushing massive quantities of coins into circulation. Billions of pennies were produced. But hidden among them were pennies struck with errors so subtle, so unusual, and so rare that even lifelong collectors are stunned when they find them. These rare survivors are the coins now selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in pristine, untouched condition, reaching close to $1 million. Imagine the emotional punch of discovering one. You flip an old envelope open, spill out some coins, and suddenly your heart stops. You're staring at something that could buy a house, pay off debt, or jumpstart a retirement. It's the kind of moment that feels unreal, until you hold it in your hand and realize it's very, very real. But what exactly makes some of these 1995 no-mint mark pennies so valuable? It begins with what collectors call a perfect storm. Scarcity, demand, condition, and error. A rare combination of misaligned dies, double impressions, and unexpected strike variations created a small batch of 1995 pennies that simply weren't supposed to exist. These coins were struck with doubling so sharp and crisp that the letters and numbers appear almost ghosted, like a shadow laying beneath the design. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never forget it. But here's the cliffhanger. Not all errors look the same. Some are mild, some are dramatic, and some, well, let's just say they are the kind of errors collectors lose sleep over. In fact, graders like PCGS and NGC have certified only a tiny handful of these ultra-rare versions in the highest grades. And that's the secret. Condition can turn a $50 curiosity into a $995,000 life-changer. Just think about that. The same date, the same design, yet one sells for pocket change, and one sells for nearly $1 million. Doesn't that make you wonder what's hiding in your own drawers right now? Here's where things get even more exciting. The 1995 penny market isn't slowing down. Prices have surged over the past decade. Demand keeps growing as more collectors enter the hobby, searching specifically for modern rarities. And high-grade examples continue to break records because every year fewer flawless survivors remain. Time isn't kind to pennies. Scratches, discoloration, and damage eliminate value fast. So a flawless or near-flawless coin today is like a shooting star. Blink and you miss it. This is why, right now, you have a rare window of opportunity. While millions of Americans overlook their old change, the people paying attention, people like you, are the ones positioning themselves for massive gains. It's almost funny, isn't it? The wealth people chase in complicated ways sometimes hides in something as simple as a penny. But don't be fooled. Finding a valuable 1995 penny isn't just about luck. It's also about knowledge. And by staying here, you're already ahead of most. You're learning what to look for. You're learning how to protect your coins. You're learning what separates the ordinary from the ultra-rare. With each bit of insight, you're getting closer to recognizing real value when you see it. Now, picture this, your hands sorting through a pile of old coins, maybe coins your parents saved, or coins you haven't looked at in decades. Suddenly you pause. Something catches your eye. A doubling on the letters. A crisp strike. A smooth surface with no scratches. Your heartbeat quickens. Could this be the one? And this is where fear and excitement collide. Because what if you let a valuable coin slip by without realizing it? What if you spent it? What if you gave it away? Millions of rare coins have disappeared from circulation because people didn't know better. Think about that the next time you grab a handful of change at the grocery store. This is why staying informed matters. It protects your financial future. It positions you to take advantage of discoveries that others overlook. And if you're someone who dreams of stepping into a wealthier lifestyle, more comfort, more freedom, fewer worries, then taking rare coins seriously is one of the simplest, smartest paths you can follow. And now we arrive at the heart of the story. The reason the 1995 penny has become a treasure. The reason collectors pay enormous amounts. The reason this tiny coin matters so much today, it's because it represents possibility. Possibility that wealth can appear where you least expect it. Possibility that your financial future can change in a single moment. Possibility that what you already own might be more valuable than anything you'd ever imagine. But here's the twist. We're still not done. Because the biggest question remains. How do you know if your 1995 penny is one of the $1 million ones? You start by examining the details. Look for strong doubling on the obverse, especially in the words liberty and in God we trust. Study the date closely. Turn the coin under light. Errors appear when the light shifts. And above all, look at the condition. The better the condition, the bigger the payday. Even a tiny scratch can cut the value dramatically. If you find a coin that looks promising, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not wipe it. Cleaning can destroy value faster than anything else. Instead, store it safely, handle it by the edges only, and consider getting it graded by a trusted grading service. A certified grade can multiply your value instantly. And if you don't find one today, don't give up. People discover rare coins when they least expect it. Someone discovered one while cleaning out a desk drawer. Someone found one in an old Christmas mug. One person even found one stuck between the seats of their car. You never know where yours is waiting. Stay curious. Stay prepared. Stay alert. Because if you're holding a 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with the right error in the right condition, your life could change faster than you can flip that coin over. And here's the final cliffhanger I'll leave you with. Somewhere out there, the most valuable 1995 penny, one that could break every record so far, has still not been discovered. It might be sitting in a jar. It might be buried in a box. It might even be in your home right now. So check your pennies carefully. The next great treasure may be closer than you think. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering a single penny that could rewrite your financial future. A penny that looks ordinary to everyone else, but could be the very coin collectors are quietly paying up to millions of dollars for today. Hard to believe. Maybe. Impossible? Not at all. In fact, one particular coin minted in 2007, with a small D mint mark under Lincoln's portrait, has recently shocked collectors with a current market sale reaching $207,000. Yes, 6 figures, for a coin worth 1 cent on paper. And today you're about to discover why. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. When was the last time you took a close look at the change in your pocket? Most people treat pennies like a nuisance. They toss them in jars, glove compartments, or couch cushions. But right now, some of those forgotten coins, maybe even the ones sitting in your home, are skyrocketing in value. And the 2007 D Lincoln penny may be one of the most surprising opportunities of all. The story begins in Denver, inside the U.S. Mint, where billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 2007. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual. The coin features the same familiar design: Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But tucked inside this massive production run, a rare handful of error coins slipped through. A tiny number of mistakes that transformed an everyday penny into a once-in-a-generation treasure. Some of these errors include off-center strikes, double dies, unusually high-grade uncirculated pieces, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. To the untrained eye, they look like any other penny. But to collectors, these rare variations are pure gold. Imagine someone finding one of these coins. Maybe they spotted a strange shine, a clean strike, or a slight doubling in the letters. Maybe it was an accidental discovery, tossed into a pocket with no idea what it was truly worth. That's the magic of this coin. It hides in plain sight. And here's where things get even more exciting. When a 2007 D Lincoln penny appears in pristine, untouched condition, especially with an extraordinary mint error, its value doesn't just rise, it explodes. One such coin sold for $207,000. And experts suggest the right combination of rarity, demand, and error severity could push future sales into the millions. Now, before you rush to dump out every coin jar in your house, actually, go ahead and do that, because who wouldn't? Let's slow down and understand what makes a coin like this so valuable. Condition is king. Coins that grade at the highest levels, especially MS-67, MS-68, or even MS-69, are incredibly rare for modern pennies. That's because most coins enter circulation immediately, bumping into other coins, getting scratched, bounced, dropped, and shoved into pockets. A coin that survives all that in perfect condition is nearly a miracle. Combine that with a dramatic mint error, and you have the ultimate jackpot. But here's the part most people miss. These rare pennies don't only belong to collectors or lifelong numismatists. They belong to everyday people. The kind of people who might be watching right now, wondering if they've overlooked a small fortune hiding in their home. And even though the 2070 penny is young compared to older wheat cents, its rarity lies not in age, but in perfection and uniqueness. That means your chance of owning one isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. As you're listening, you might start to feel that little twinge of fear, the fear of missing out. Think about it. Every day, millions of pennies slip through people's hands unnoticed. Someone will find the next rare one. Someone will list it. Someone will cash in. Will it be you? Or will you look back months from now thinking, I should have checked my change when I had the chance? That little discomfort you feel right now is powerful. Because it's real. And it's pushing you to take action. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a small pile of coins in front of you. One penny stands out. It has a sharper shine, a more defined strike. You look a little closer. Maybe the lettering has a slight shadow doubling. Maybe the surface is flawless, untouched by circulation. Your heart speeds up. You realize that what you're seeing is no ordinary coin. In a single moment, your life shifts. This is how wealth starts, quietly, unexpectedly, in the tiniest details that most people ignore. Now let's add a bit of humor to calm the pulse. If you find yourself holding a magnifying glass and squinting so hard your family thinks you're auditioning to be Sherlock Holmes, don't worry, you're not alone. Thousands of collectors started the same way. Fortunately, pennies don't judge. Still, the journey from coin jar to six-figure sale isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. You need to know what to look for. Strong doubling in I in God we trust, liberty or the date. A dramatic off-center strike. A blank planchet. A misaligned die. An unusually sharp and mirror-like finish that suggests a high mint state. Any of these could be the gateway to a coin worth more than some cars, homes, or retirement accounts. And yes, the stakes are rising. As collectors begin to realize how rare high-grade 2007 pennies truly are, demand is exploding. Prices are rising. And opportunities like this do not last forever. Coins get found, sold, and locked away into private collections where they rarely reappear. The window slowly, steadily closes. But here comes another twist to keep you on the edge of your seat. Some experts believe that the most valuable 2007 penny, the one that could break into the $1 million range, still hasn't been discovered. It's out there somewhere. Maybe in circulation. Maybe in storage. Maybe sitting quietly in someone's kitchen drawer right now. Maybe with you. Let that thought linger for a moment. Because the truth is, wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in familiar places, disguised as something ordinary until you know how to see it. And once you do, everything changes. That's the power of rare coins. That's the power of awareness. And that's the opportunity you have today. What will you do next? Will you ignore the pennies around you, assuming they're worthless? Or will you search, discover, and maybe step into a new chapter of abundance? The difference between those two paths could be life-changing.